Okay, anyway. Uh, shit, it's been a fucking minute since we recorded. Ohio State won the college football playoff. And I do believe that the arc of the universe when it comes to college sports does bend towards the will of the spite of Pitt fans, right? Because you had Penn State lose in horrifying fashion to Notre Dame, absolutely biff it. And then you had Texas lose on a terrible play to Ohio State after they took Torrey Stafford in the transfer portal in volleyball. So already that's kind of two grudges there. And then, obviously Notre Dame is another grudge. So that sort of ends up all resolving itself out. I'm sort of presenting it here like the psychic power of Pitt fans of their spite is kind of what drives the world here.
Yeah.
First down, goes to the sidelines, has a man wide open. It's tipped. MJ Devonshire got space. He's going to take it to the end zone. Pittsburgh takes the lead.
He loves those moments. It reminds me of last year in the Garden against St. John's. And guys just stepped up. Blake hits a what the hell three. We're like, what are you doing? And he's done that all year.
Klicka out to Bizzario. It's over. The Pitt Panthers have upset Wisconsin.
Anybody if he hits his field goal. Up and got it. Sauls does it again.
All right, fuck it. Let's just start the episode. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Simplify Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Kaminsky. Yeah, it's been a minute. We kind of forgot to record for a couple weeks, and it doesn't help that when the team is bad, it's not as fun to record, so we kind of don't record when they're bad. Kind of on us. We shouldn't really be doing that, but I'm here with my co-host, Kent Vanderwood, tonight. Kent, how we doing?
Doing good, Zach. Happy that we're back in the win column and have some good news to talk about.
Yeah. So I guess do we? This is pretty much an all basketball show. Because the last time we were on the mics was right before the Duke game, and that game was a travesty. Let me pull up the score here because I don't remember. I kind of flushed it out of my mind. Yeah, they
76-47.
Which was bad to say the least. But I think in the moment, a lot of people, including myself and you, we were talking about this when watching the game, that, hey, it's Duke. They're one of the best teams in the country. It's kind of fine. And then they didn't stop losing. They then lost their next three to lose 4 in a row. They lost to Louisville at home by 4. They lost to Florida State on the road by 12. And they lost to Clemson at home in overtime by 3. And pretty much Pitt, in the matter of 4 games, had gone from midline seed, probably like a 6 in a lot of bracketology, to a 9, 10, or in some, shout out Lunardi who fucking hates us, 11 seed, one of the last 4 buys.
Yeah, it was a tough stretch for sure. Louisville and Clemson really both should have been wins at home. Just really bad play and coaching down the stretch. Florida State was a late one. I actually didn't get to catch that one.
Neither did I.
But yeah, Louisville and Clemson, really tough losses to take it home. Clemson, I thought we were finally going to get over the hump of losing to them. I think we've now lost, it's an absurd number straight to them. It's in the double digits. I don't know if you're able to pull that up quickly, but
yeah, I'm getting it right now.
They were up against Clemson in particular with a few minutes left and just stopped shooting the ball from inside the three-point line. We're just jacking up some terrible threes early in the shot clock. Lost and ended up losing in overtime, but it was literally I think they went up. They had a 2 with about 3 minutes left in regulation. Did not shoot another 2-point shot until Jalen Lowe tied the game back up with less than 20 seconds left in the game, which is just inexcusable. That should have been a win. Louisville, a little bit tough to remember at this point as well, but similar. Just poor play down the
The Louis-
stretch, poor shot selection, things like that.
So, by the way, I did look this up. Pitt is 2-13 against Clemson all time. Their last one against Clemson came over a decade ago, in March of 2014, and they have lost 13 straight. They have not won a game against Clemson since 2014. I will say, obviously, like the story, kind of with like the last couple years too, and especially in the Louisville game too, is just rebounding. Even in their last couple wins, have been really bad. They've been out rebounded pretty much in every single game since, I want to say, since Stanford. But really, I think there's sort of three really big weaknesses that were shown in that 4-game losing stretch. Obviously, number one is that like rebounding and physicality inside is still not there. Cam Corrin is just like, it's so weird to say that he's not as physical as Federico, and like his presence down low is much better offensively, but defensively is kind of like a wash, like even like sometimes worse than Federico was last year. And then they are really bad at shooting the three and defending the three. I mean, in that Louisville game, the white Australian sniper was like 11 for something. Like he was shooting at a ridiculous clip. And to be fair, Louisville's won 10 straight games and he's shooting over 50% from three. So I think it was kind of just, we caught them at a very bad time. But the 3-point line on both the offensive and defensive sides of the court have not been kind to Pitt this season.
Yeah, I hear you. That one guy on Louisville, you're right. We were leaving him open far too much. That also, that comes into coaching too. It's like if you have somebody that hot, you have to make some adjustments to basically not let him get as good of looks as he was getting. So yeah, it was both ends of the ball. It was a bad stretch of 4 games. They were 12-2, got to 12-6, like you said. They were, a lot higher in a lot of the bracket projections. We're still in a good spot, I think. I've learned to not let, even though Lunardi is like sort of the face of ESPN bracketology, he's really not that high on the list of overall bracketologies. He still has us, I think, as like one of the last or next 4 in or whatever. Like not the last 4 in, but a step above that.
I think he has us on the 11 line to where we wouldn't be playing like a play-in game for it. We would be the last 4 buys, I think is what it's called, right?
Yeah, and frankly, it is kind of ridiculous because our schedule has been tough. We played a tougher schedule. We won all of our out-of-conference games, didn't have a bad out-of-conference loss like last year. Last year, we were obviously first 4 out. They are struggling in quad 1 games. They only have, I think, 1 quad 1 win. I think they were 1-6 in quad 1. But they're playing quality competition. They got a much needed wins, I should say, against Syracuse and UNC. The bottom line, they just got to keep winning, and they'll be in. But
yeah, so I will say that when it comes to quads, right? Like you said, Pitt is 1-5 in quad 1 opportunities. Louisville became a quad 1 game, as well as Clemson, obviously Duke, Ohio State, Mississippi State, and Wisconsin. I will say West Virginia becomes a quad 2, which is like if they can keep that up, like because they're 1-5 in quad 1s, they are I think they're 13-1 in every other quad, so they're at least not losing the really bad games that would keep us out in previous years. And like you said, we didn't have a bad out of conference loss. We've taken care of the teams towards the bottom of the ACC. We think back to like Cal, Virginia Tech, and Stanford and Syracuse. Like, did we play Stanford? We did. Sorry, Stanford's quad 2. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean we're not helping ourselves. We're not hurting ourselves, and I think that's why most bracketology like accounts have us sort of on that like 10 line or that 11 line, so like the last 4 buys. If we're looking ahead, and I guess actually that's what we're talking about now. They do have, I think, 4 quad 1 opportunities left, and that is their next game against Wake Forest this Saturday. in Wake Forest. I'm terrified about because that's a really freaky arena to play in. You have at North Carolina, which I think I feel good about that one because Capel, I think, it has a really good record against UNC. At SMU following that, and then towards the end of the year, away at Louisville is the last quad one opportunity. You got to get at least one of those, and you really want to get maybe 2 or 3 of those to bolster your resume to have more than one quad one win.
Yeah, definitely agreed. Yeah, that's a good point as well. They don't have a bad loss. It's not just at a conference. Like, they don't have a quad 3, quad 4 loss at all. Wake has lost 2 straight to Duke and Louisville. So they're hungry for a win as well. It's not going to be an easy test on Saturday, but if they're able to get that one, I think we'll be good, looking pretty good going into the Virginia game on Monday.
Yeah, and see, and this is where I kind of get into. I want to kind of loop back to coaching, right? Because one thing I thought about thinking back to that crazy 3-point shooting in the Louisville game is that, when I think about it, I don't know if Jeff Capel would face guard Blake Hinson on a night he was going off. I feel like the defensive coaching just isn't there. But honestly, my bigger problem with it is like the offensive coaching, because I think a big concern we had coming into the year was that the 3-point shooting was not going to be there. And throughout the year, it just hasn't been there. Ish and Jalen just have not been good from behind the arc. And it's even more confusing when I think the two, like, Damian Dunn is obviously very good from behind the arc, and he's been a huge reason why that they've won these last 2 games. But where is Della Leach, and where's like Jorge, who's clearly the best 3-point shooter on the team? Because I think a lot of the problems that they've been having that they were having in that losing streak is that their offense is getting stopped pretty much, like just totally stonewalled. And one of the reasons that they could stonewall the offense is that teams did not have to respect Pitt from beyond the arc, so they can kind of just stop anything going towards the rim because they know that's the only place that Pitt is going to try and attack them from if they can't hit it from deep.
Yeah, agreed. It's been an issue all year. They're not consistent enough from 3, but they still take a lot of threes. They take a lot of unwarranted threes. They still play sort of Blake Hinson ball without Blake Hinson on the team.
That's a good way to put it.
But they are overall a good free throw shooting team. I know we've talked about that before. I don't think that they try to get to the free throw line often enough or early enough. In general as well, I would agree that most of the issues that we see with this team are on the offensive side of the floor. Just bad shot selection a lot of times down the stretch in close games, as well as just like too many guys standing around, not really an offense being run, not like you can't, just a lot of ISO ball and like just hoping guys make plays against their defender versus like creating shots and creating movement, in other areas of the floor. There's just too much standing around in general. But I do think it was worse. That 4-game stretch, there was a lot of that. I think the other day against UNC, they looked finally like a more like cohesive and like actual basketball team on sort of all fronts. They were moving well in transition. They were cutting. They were playing well without the basketball, and that's what you need. You need guys moving without the basketball and creating better looks, and they were getting a lot better looks, I think, because of that, and that's part of the reason why they're able to win the last 2 games. But overall, I mean, confidence for the team. The last 2 games to be able to pull both those out, huge. Especially, you mentioned the rebounds earlier as well. Eddie Lampkin had, I think, 23 rebounds against us for Syracuse. We still pulled that one out. But I mean, hey, they found a way to get it done, which they couldn't do against Louisville or against Clemson. So, steps in the right direction. But you mentioned, they got some good opportunities coming up, but they need to prove that and continue to look like they belong in the NCAA tournament if they want to get there. So,
Yeah, so I'm gonna run a couple of ideas by you of sort of ways I think they can start to sort of keep building on getting out of that 4-game skid, right? First off is that I think that they just need to start giving more minutes to Jorge because he's the team's best 3-point shooter. Straight up.
dude, I don't think he gets enough minutes. He's actually been playing really well when he does get some time. Him and Guillermo didn't get a ton of minutes at all in general. It was pretty much the starting five for the majority of the UNC game. I need to look at the box score, actually, and just...
Yeah, I have it pulled up. Like, the UNC game was kind of an outlier because they, like you said, Guillermo and Jorge combined for 22 minutes. The entirety of the other minutes, everyone except for Cam Corrin played over 35 minutes, being, Zach Austin, Jalen Lowe, Ish Leggett, and Damian Dunn. And I think that Jorge just needs minutes because he's the team's best three-point shooter, and they need that. But you're kind of getting into another issue where Capel doesn't use his bench enough.
He doesn't, and there were some guys that we thought were going to be more involved on the team, I think, than they have been coming into the season. Delly being one. Really haven't seen anything out of him this year. You're right. There's just not there's really no bench production this year. We've had two ACC 6-man of the year players in previous years. We're not going to have that this year. Guillermo and Jorge is combining for 22 minutes is kind of crazy. That is a bit of an outlier, I feel like. Let me look at the box score for Syracuse.
I have his that because Syracuse they had 5 guys on the bench get minutes. Guillermo's only averaging 6 minutes, 6 minutes a game this year, but he's shooting 60% from 3. I think you just got to get him more minutes. And speaking of getting guys more minutes, I think that besides Jorge, I think it's Papa Conte. I think you need to start spelling Cam Corrin with another physical guy down low. And then I think you need to start giving Brandon Cummings some more minutes. I'm kind of shocked that he didn't get any against UNC.
Mm-hmm.
Dunn was good, but I think you can work those two guys into the court more because we've seen them be really good against really good teams earlier in the year, and I'm kind of surprised that once conference play hit, we stopped seeing them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Conte and Cummings both had one standout game, obviously earlier in the year. Overall, Corrin has not been getting it done inside. He's let's see, he had 7 rebounds against UNC. We just need more production on the boards in general too. I think you said that earlier as well. We're just not as good of rebounding team as we need to be. There's a lot of games that we have ended up losing. We do get kind of dominated, especially other teams getting offensive boards, us not blocking out on defense. But Papa Conte could help out with that. But he's still not Papa Conte is not always the most physical guy when he gets minutes. But I think that's what he needs to do when he gets chances is to really be that guy. And then, I was also surprised Brandon Cummings didn't get any minutes in this game. He only got 5 minutes against Syracuse. Corrin got 5 rebounds last game. He had 7 against Syracuse. But, overall, not the production you need out of your starting center, essentially. So...
Yeah, I mean when you talk about rebounds, right? He has 9 more rebounds than the next leading rebounder, and that's Ish Leggett. That's pretty much unacceptable. I do say I think Delly, the one guy I think we thought he'd be a big part of this team. I think he's gonna be really good, but he's way too prone to turning the ball over in just the stupidest ways. So I think that's probably why he's not getting as many minutes. But that's just like me talking out loud. I probably don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I think he definitely needs some work. I think, I don't know, part of it, he hasn't been that productive when he comes in. I don't know if he's just not, like, I feel like even when he gets minutes, he's not really shooting. I don't know if it's like a
Yeah.
confidence thing at the moment, if he's not shooting well in practice, if he's scared to shoot the ball for any repercussions he might get for doing that. I don't know. But yeah, that's been a big surprise this year. Damian Dunn, I am a big fan of his, but I think his thumb is still really bothering him when he's shooting. He's not shooting particularly well, but he is a good scorer and he's a good veteran leader, and I do enjoy having him on the floor. I think he's a really good player. He is struggling. He was only 2 of 9 shooting against UNC. Yeah, 2 of 9 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3, 1 of 6 from 3. But hopefully, I mean, that thumb is continuing to get a little bit better. He's still wearing the wrap on there, but if he can kind of get his shooting numbers up, we're going to be in a lot better place as well. But that injury, I think, really set us back for sure.
Yeah, and then you think about it, like they obviously looked rocky without Dunn, but putting him in pretty much against one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country, when the chemistry wasn't there, it kind of like it took a while for Damian Dunn to get back into the lineup to where he was efficient and effective, and everyone was used to playing with him again. And while I don't think it was the wrong move to put him in against Duke, I think it kind of factored into how bad they played. They looked so out of sorts. I mean, also the Duke defense is just unreal. However, we've done a lot of negative talking here, and I realize that. We do got to give the huge shout out to Zach Austin. Now, Kent, are you aware of the Zach Austin TikTok?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So here's if you, the listener, are not aware of it, good. Don't look it up. It's nothing bad, but it's it'll make you not wish you hadn't seen it. However, the team is 2-0 since that TikTok was posted. So, is that what's going to turn this season around?
That may be the turning point, Zach. If we win on Saturday, if we go on a little bit of a run here, there's an argument to be had because the 4-game skid immediately halted, and Zach Austin has been playing his butt off since then too. He had a really good game against UNC, was probably the player of the game. Wasn't the leading scorer. Jalen Lowe was the leading scorer, but Zach Austin had 5 blocks in this game, really sick, as well as like a sick transition dunk, highlight reel, great pass from Mitch Leggett. Just overall, really, really awesome game from Zach. And yeah, if he wants to keep playing like that, he can make all the TikToks he wants.
I mean, listen, if that helps him get loose and helps him get activated, I'm all for it. That transition dunk with the call of the Stone Cold from Austin was awesome. That was a perfect call for it. Probably the best dunk in that building since Zion was there 5 years ago, or maybe longer than that. But best dunk since Zion Williamson was in that building. And even beyond the dunks, like, he had a couple of huge 3-pointers that like ended up I believe tying it and then putting us ahead. And like once he hits those threes, like the crowd is really into it that game, like unlike they had been in like the past couple home games. And he gets the crowd into it. They're rocking like that. There's that frame from the broadcast. Zach Austin pump fakes. This guy goes flying into the bench, steps over, shoots the 3, and then there's just this massive hand in the middle of the camera blocking it, and it doesn't matter. You knew it was going in either way. Like in a way where like Nelly Cummings and the older guys were kind of the level for the team, and how Ish was earlier in the year. It seems like Zach Austin's getting into that role where like if they need something big, he's the guy who's going to go do it.
Yeah, he's been extremely clutch this year. I mean, talk about the Ohio State game winner, obviously, earlier this year. The Syracuse game, he hits a 3 to Silent the crowd was almost a dagger. Then he hits two like huge free throws after that in that game to help pull that one out and seal that one up. And then yeah, UNC, as we just discussed, like great game there as well. So he's looked phenomenal in the 2 games since the TikTok. So by all means, man, if that if that helps you get loose and helps you play like that, go for it.
Yeah, we're putting out the call right now. Zach Austin, based on early results, you need to give us more Jameson Williams style celebration TikToks. We One thing I'm dying to know, and I could not figure this out for the life of me, is who the fuck was in the background of that TikTok? Because someone walks in like halfway through. I could not figure out who it was.
I'll have to rewatch it. I frankly didn't notice that. I was too traumatized by what was happening at the forefront. But yeah, with the it was when it happened, when it came out, and it was like all over Twitter essentially when we were on a 4 game losing streak, looking terrible, and you see that, it was like, okay, man, all right, like that's the last thing we need right now. But it worked.
Especially, I think the TikTok basically came out as soon as the Clemson game had just happened. So it'd been like under 24 hours, and all of a sudden this comes out, and it's just like, this is. All right, hold on. I'm looking at this right now. I'm trying to figure out who walks in on the background here because I think it's one of the Diaz Graham twins. I'm not 100% sure.
I'll check it out.
Because you can kind of barely see the hairdo for a second, and then like it's his. Dude, here's my thing. How do we have video footage of this and not Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game? That's the kind of thing you got to think about, right?
Yeah, you got a link for me? I'm struggling to find this right now.
Dude, I can't find it either. What was that fucking account that posted it?
It's been wiped.
I found no, did they wiped it? No.
Well,
No.
while we're on the topic of inappropriate thrusting, I would like to. Some news came out today regarding Justin Tucker, and as a Ravens fan, I am very upset by this news, obviously, but I'm going to use this moment to just put this out there that I would like Ben Sauls to be drafted to Baltimore to be his replacement if necessary. We would love to have him join us. So we'll shout.
He would actually be really like straight up. Like I guess we can talk about some of the NFL draft stuff. Like Sauls has been doing really well at whatever bowl he's at. McMillan, I think, is getting a lot of coverage. Whatever bowl. Like senior showcase that Kanate was at, he really did well there. I know Gavin's out doing that stuff. So like I think those are probably the 4 guys you're looking at getting drafted this year, I think. I don't have my tracker in front of me, but like those are the guys like who are clear NFL talents. Sauls though, like beyond, the Justin Tugger situation, little him and Deshaun were getting hand in hand, if you know what I'm saying. But Sauls would be good just because he's really good at kicking at Hines, and you got to play there. So why not just take him?
Yeah, most kickers don't get drafted. They sign as undrafted free agents. I think, like, I'm trying to think. I know McPherson was drafted by the Bengals. Tucker was signed like as a undrafted free agent way back when. But yeah, it's kind of rare to draft a kicker, but I am fine with reaching for Ben Sauls and drafting him because I don't care about a 6th-round draft pick. I care about getting a good kicker in there. So,
all right. So I just want to go back to Zach Austin TikTok. I am doing a JFK assassination frame by frame analysis on this. This is impressive camera work from Zach here because the guy who walks in, you do not see his face in a single frame. He completely blocks him. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it was the cinematography here is fantastic, and I don't think this is a Diaz Graham twin. Like,
Shoot me the link.
What?
I still can't
I,
find.
I put it in the
Okay.
the chat in the video recording. The only thing that I'm looking at here is like the hairstyle makes me think it's a Diaz Graham, but yeah, you know what? No, I do think this is a Diaz Graham. I think I'm gonna go on a limb. I think this is Jorge Diaz Graham in the background of that TikTok.
Oh yeah, that might be. Yeah, great. Yeah, I don't know. It's a white boy.
This is the only place you're gonna get this kind of analysis from. Yeah, we got a white boy in the background. Dude, I'm gonna post this and give me a second here.
Well,
No, actually, I did want to talk about some other stuff too when it comes to I don't know if you have anything else on basketball. Basically, the whole thing is go win against Wake Forest. Don't drop a stinker in that weird camera angle arena. Like the Duke Wake Forest game was on at my gym, and it always throws me off about how weird the camera angle is in that fucking arena. It's horrible.
yeah, it's been a while since I've watched a game there. We didn't play there last year, did we?
We did. We dropped a real stinker there last year. Remember?
I don't know. I kind of blocked that. I blocked that out of my memory.
Yeah, I think it was like a 30-point loss. I understand why you blocked it out.
Yeah. Now that you say that, yep, that's coming back to me. But I'm trying to picture the camera. Anyways,
Anything else on basketball?
no, I'm just happy we've won a couple straight. Let's keep it going. And yeah, I'm staying positive. I know. I want every Pitt fan out there to stay positive. This is still a fun team. They're still good. They still have a very, very strong chance of making the NCAA tournament. And yeah, keep going out to the Pete. Keep giving them some support because the Pete looked pretty rocking against UNC. So
Yeah, I will say it was kind of like the first time like the blackout worked. I think they're just over 500 in those uniforms because I'm one of those people who tracks how they do in each uniform, which I shouldn't do, but I do anyway. Yeah, keep going out to the Pete. The student section was absolutely rocking against UNC.
yeah, shout out to Oakland Zoo for listening to all the shit talk and responding accordingly.
Yeah. I will say, shout out to that one guy in the zoo who had it was like an RJ Davis thing about him being old as shit and getting on LinkedIn. That was good. That was a good sign. That was a good one.
That's the type of signs we need.
I will say, I've heard that they stopped doing the whole like when they do the opposing player intros, they stopped doing this guy sucks. They need to bring that back.
What?
That I've heard these things.
All right, we got to get somebody.
If
on
I'm
the
lying
inside.
and making things up, please let me know. But if that's gone, the West is falling. I do want to hit on a couple football things. I know it's the off season, but I'm getting back to my roots. I'm watching quarterback recruit tape because Pitt got their first commit in the class of 2026. It is Angelo Renda, a quarterback out of Texas. He went to the same high school as Quinn Ewers. Now he looks really good. He can throw the ball really deep. He is 6'0" on a good day, so he is a Kyler Murray style quarterback. He is mobile as hell too, but I'm kind of excited. I think he's going to be a fun player to watch if he ends up staying here. The other thing is that the big transfer portal news is that the Notre Dame guard that hit the portal, Rocco Spindler, his dad is a Pitt alum. He played defensive line here. He was on a visit at Pitt today. Originally, not a lot of the reporting was showing that Pitt was going to be in the mix for him. But if they can land him as an O-lineman, I think in his last year of eligibility, that would kind of complete the rebuild along the line because then you'd be going into the year with Ryan Baer, Jeff Percy from Michigan, Lyndon Cooper, BJ Williams, and then Rocco Spindler. And that is a front five that's going to maul.
Yeah, Jeff Percy is was a good pickup this week as well. So, yeah, I'm very happy to see that they're getting some big boys in there. on official visits, and Percy, I guess, already we've landed officially. But yeah, if we can get him as well, that'd be huge, and just need them to then stay healthy.
Well, the health thing. That's why I think they've already gotten a couple other guys. Like they got the tackle from Charlotte, and then another like an FCS transfer on the interior line. But yeah, you just got to keep the center healthy. Lyndon Cooper was a huge factor in the line being good. When he went down last year, they got much worse really quickly.
Yeah, drink your milk, boys.
Drink your milk. I don't think I have anything else. I alluded to it earlier, but Torrey Stafford transferred out of the volleyball program to Texas. Shocking move. That's why he lost in the college football playoffs. Serves you right. One of their recruits decommitted and then flipped to TCU at the last minute. So I'm going to do a volleyball show later in the year with one of our friends, but we're looking real thin at the opposite hitter position. But they got a transfer from Oregon. So, and I don't know. I don't know if you would have seen this, but Nebraska's head coach retired in volleyball, and then 21 minutes later, they announced Louisville's head coach as the next head coach.
Oh, I did not see that. That's a crazy move, though.
People are thinking like this is because there was a clause in Kelly's contract at Louisville to say she could take the Nebraska job at any time with no consequences.
Did she go to Nebraska or something? Is there a tie?
Yeah, she was a player there. I think in like the mid 2000s.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, you just were in a national championship and now you're leaving for another program that was in the Final Four. I don't know. It just didn't make sense, but that makes more sense. Yeah.
And then they opened the year against Nebraska too. So it's like, we went from playing that coach in our last game of this year to our first game of this year, which can be very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Some crazy volleyball news, but yeah, I'm glad we got an outside hitter. Torrey Stafford leaving for Texas, low move. Got to assume there's some money involved though.
Yeah.
That's got to be a money move for sure.
I definitely think so. I think she also has a sister who plays basketball there. I'm gonna double check myself on that.
Do you know where she's from? Like, is she from that area or something?
I think she's from California.
Okay, so just going everywhere but home. That's fine. I was like, oh, maybe she went home. Maybe it's wholesome.
Well, the girl who went to TCU, she's from Texas, so like she's like staying home. But yeah, this one was totally unexpected. Let me just see this right here. Okay, maybe I think she used to play there, but somewhere she has a relationship to Texas. I just think that Texas went ahead and spent a lot of money because they had a really bad year last year. But that's just me. I think that's all I have. That's all I got.
Yeah. Overall, not much else, I guess. Ohio State won the Natty. Congrats.
Honestly, congrats to Ohio State. The fucking semifinal games were so good. Like the 12-team playoff, I think the first round is kind of a dud. The campus thing was cool enough to the point where I don't care about the games not being that competitive. But once you got past the first round, a lot of these games were really competitive, and they were really good games, honestly, outside the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was ended up being a very fun college football playoff. Obviously, if you still had the 14 playoff, it would have looked very different. So I'm glad that they expanded it. I'm sure there's still a lot of people who are upset that they expanded it, but it would have looked entirely different if they had kept it. So that's the reason for expanding it.
And you think about the playoff too, like we wouldn't have gotten the Cam Scatterboo game in the what was that, the Peach Bowl, I want to say, whatever, the Texas Arizona State game. That was fucking awesome. Notre Dame Georgia was great. Penn State Boise was closer than people expected, but like if we kept it at 4, neither of the two participants in the actual title game would have been in the field. I think that just expanding the field was a logical move, and it ended up working out because all the games were really fucking good.
Yeah, agreed. I was happy Notre Dame came back in the championship. I made it a good watch. I read that game like a book. I should. You and Mason, both my bets from before that game, I was spot on. Ohio State to basically dominate early, and then Notre Dame to come back. So yeah, that was cool. I know some ball, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I hope Pitt can make 12-team playoff at some point in the nearest future. When we were 7-0 this year, I thought it might have been the inaugural year. Also, I guess if the college football playoff ever expands again, the move is to hammer Ohio State to win the Natty because they were the first team to win the 14 college football playoff as well. They are just a powerhouse when it comes to expanding the playoffs.
I wonder if when did they? Okay, so they didn't win the first BCS bowl because if they did that, that would have been crazy. No, they won in 2002. Okay. Yeah, no, I did know that. It's like, okay, yeah, if they ever moved to like 14 or 16, just hammer Ohio State to win it. No, I mean, I think, frankly, it's kind of crazy to say, but Pitt's not that far from a 12 team. Okay, you know what? I'm going to stop myself right there. If I finish that sentence, I was going to curse us for eternity.
Yeah.
Before I go too far, I think that's going to be the show. A little short one this week. We'll be back sooner than later. Sorry about the long break in recording. If you like the show, follow us on your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Twitter at SimplifyPod, and we'll see you next time.
Shout out Mason. Hope he feels better soon, bud. And beat the Demon Deacons.
Love you, Mace.